But that doesn't bode well for Mortal Kombat. I mean, with Mortal Kombat, man, the thing is just it's been 4 months and it's just like a lot of the game kind of just fell flat. People say, "Oh man, like the casual's gonna eat it up," and for me, I would say like I'm a casual. How do I explain this? I'm a casual. For me, I'm somewhat of a casual. I'm a casual player, but in regards to like my knowledge, excuse me, my nose is killing me. I cut my nose earlier today. In regards to like appreciation for the game and like the knowledge of the games and the lore and all that, I would say I'm a hardcore fan and a fan of the FGC in general. So for me, oh, my nose is killing me. So for me, like it is true. Like I haven't played MK1 in about I haven't played MK1 in about almost 2.5, 3 weeks. I played Invasions. I started, season two was super quick. I played some of season three. I don't even think I finished the first table. I didn't finish the first board yet. Nothing's been new. Like I know Quan Chi came out, Chameleon just dropped, but still like I don't know, bro. I think also too with me, online I've barely played online, but online I've heard it's been nothing but a horror story. Um, it was a horror, it was a horror story in regards to online in general. Excuse, excuse me. It's been a horror story in general, man. And for us, man, we like I like playing with my friends. I like playing, when there are other people playing the game at times. So I think what made it rough too is that, when you look at the whole scheme of crossplay, like crossplay was in the MK11 beta and never made it to MK11, and then with MK1, like we were supposed to get crossplay months ago, and we didn't get nothing. So it's a very complicated and tough thing to deal with, man. Like it's just with MK1, it's crazy how in 4 months the game kind of just like it literally really did fall off, bro. Because it was all over my algorithms. Like I saw everybody talk about the game, and it's like the game just like disappeared. Like nobody really talks about it. And from what I've seen, it's been somewhat negative, from people who were putting content into it, putting content, putting content out, going into tournaments, hearing the tournament payouts are not good. Um, the game not even being a top eight and combo breaker, which is crazy. Being it's his first year, like the game is just I don't know, man. This is something about MK1. Like we don't, nobody really plays it no more. Nobody talks about it. But also, I think the funny thing is outside of MK1, there's other things that cause I think the the diversion, the deviation from people who played MK1 to not playing it anymore, especially for casuals, because Spider-Man 2 came out. Like I didn't even realize that. I'm like, yeah, Spider-Man 2 came out in October, like right before Halloween. So MK1's out for a month. Spider-Man 2 comes out. And then now Tekken 8's about to come out. So there's that. But to be honest, bro, like I'm a connected. Like to be honest, I think it's a publisher issue. Like yes, it's an NRS issue, but I also think it's a Warner Brothers issue. Warner Brothers just wanted the quick money and that's it. And with the way Warner Brothers has been acting with DCEU, with canceling movies left and right, them having Max and all these, you're seeing all these TV shows getting canceled after one barely lasting one maybe 2 seasons. So there's that too. Like I'm connect. Like I'm like if Warner Brothers isn't doing well with films, Warner Brothers is struggling with the DC shit. Having stops and starts. the Suicide Squad game, all the shows on Max that are getting canceled left and right. And then you look at MK1 and it's like, it's a Warner Brothers thing more than anything. So I think it is that, like, NetherRealm is complicit, but I also think this was a higher ups with Warner Brothers. And they're not doing a good job handling things. Excuse me, because all the microtransactions, the slow leak of stuff, them not being, you know, a lot of the hardcore players are having issues with desyncs, and a lot of streamers are complaining about desyncs. Just the updates, just the patches being funky, man. Like, characters getting nerfed left and right that they didn't need to get nerfed. You know, it's just been a mess. And, you know, hopefully they do get it together. Hopefully, you know, they get it all figured out. But, like, this took a nosedive. To me, this might take a nosedive. This game might take a nosedive quicker than MK11 in regards to popularity. Like, you know, that whole, I don't want to call it a conspiracy because that kind of sounds crazy, but the whole debate, or I don't want to say debate, the whole discourse or dialogue about the whole discourse and dialogue about MK1 allegedly being Injustice 3, you know, the skeleton of MK1 being Injustice 3, and then for the skeleton of MK1 being Injustice 3, and then, you know, with the 30th anniversary of MK1 being last year, Street Fighter 6 dropping, like, Warner Brothers might have put the pressure to NRS, like, hey, you got to make that shit Injustice. Which I was like, I don't know about that. But then when you look at the clashes, when you select characters, they do the clash. Supposedly, the cameo system was supposed to be called sidekicks, allegedly. I don't know the full truth to that, but it's just a multitude of things, like development stuff, the combat cast coming few and far in between, barely merch, it's a bunch of stuff. Like, it's just like, yeah, we put the game out and that's it, and the game was unfinished. And low key, this is like a Street Fighter 5 Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite type thing, where it's like, well, I can't really say that too. Maybe with the anticipation, because with MK1 it was good. It's just like after that first month, it's just like the hype, the communication from NRS to the community, and so on and so forth. Like, everything just kind of took a nosedive. Because I even went to the MK1 Discord the other day, and I was like, let me just go to the community chat, see what people are talking about, and get a pulse of what's going on. And a lot of people it was a lot of negative feedback. People complaining about the PC version, being horrible and all buggy. Obviously, the Switch version has been a point of contention since day zero, since the game, even before the game dropped, is in the middle of September. Like, this has been a whole issue since then. So, yeah, in a weird way, this is to me, it's like Street Fighter 5 meets Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite situation. Like, in regards to the feedback of the game, how people feel about it. Not much with casuals, but most of the content creators, the guys who go into tournaments, even the OGs. Like, you got dudes like, you know, a guy like Foxy Grandpa, who enters tournaments with all types of characters and always finishes top 5, top 8, wins a consistent Mortal Kombat competitor who has finished in the top or has won multiple tournaments. He's had issues with the game. You know, Sonic Fox has had issues with the game. Granted, Sonic Fox is having their own issues right now, with Javier losing to Javier in a tournament against Scorpion, or Lopian, as they would call him, because Scorpion's a low-tier character in that game. Even though, weirdly enough, there's not really a terrible character in MK1, but Scorpion has a lot of matchup problems. And, you know, I don't want to get too much into the Sonic Fox situation with Javier. Pretty much they popped off back and forth. They're going back and forth with their, you know, their little, these damn ads, with their little situation. You know, he said what he said about beating them. They were complaining about the ping, which, I mean, hey, if you're going to go fight somebody who's in Europe and you live in a X area of the United States of America, you should know that ping is a problem. You know, if you ask me, that's just how I feel about that. So there's that. To keep going, you know, even forward, excuse me, to even go forward with that, moving on from the Sonic 5 situation, but you got guys like Cage, Scar saying stuff. Even guys who have been in the Mortal Kombat online community, even in general since like 2004, 2005, you got Tom Brady, Mortal Kombat Tom Brady had like voicing his issues on the game. Like it's been a lot. Like just looking at people's tweets, from, you know, either guys who make content, guys who go to tournaments, guys who are, you know, people who are in the FGC who have a following, who are fans of this game, they're all complaining. Guys who are, you know, who are former Mortal Kombat tournament players, guys current and former Mortal Kombat tournament players who are having issues with this game, saying they're gonna pick up Tekken, and if they do, cool, like it's not an issue, but it's just I'm shocked that there's been such a, they had all these people testing the game. There's been all these people who are content creators and tournament fighters and people were following, complaining about the game, especially in the last month and a half, because that's how it popped up back in my algorithm. It was on my algorithms for a month and a half. It kind of fell off, you know, and that's just because of me and my friends waiting for it to play crossplay. Then I would play single player and play invasions, but then it got to a point I just stopped playing. Like I didn't even finish all the towers. The single player arcade towers where everybody has their own endings. I haven't even done that. It's just the game just got kind of stale and just kind of came and went. With SF6, granted I haven't played a little bit with SF6, but like I know I can go back and play it and I'll have fun playing it. You know, Tekken, it might be the same thing with Tekken 8. But yeah, like it's just I just think there's an issue. There's an issue when you got all these content creators. When you see more people complaining about the state of Mortal Kombat 1 versus how good the game is or how good the updates are. Because even with the updates, you're supposed to get, you know, where even from day one, it was, oh, you're supposed to get X, Y, and Z at this time, but you didn't. You would get, you know, it would be a delay. It would come out later than it was supposed to, or you know, whatever update or character came out, and then there would immediately be an update or a patch to nerf or buff shit. Like it's just been. And now, granted, I don't expect NetherRealm to be perfect. I'm not saying that. I don't need you to hit on all cylinders, but it just feels like with everything that's come out with this game, it's just always been something, and that's a cause for concern. Like, and hopefully, you know, NRS sees that. And now take this from when it comes to skill, take this from a decent casual player. Like I've never entered a tournament. I would love to go to fighting tournaments, you know, where, you know, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina at the moment. So if there are any good FGC tournaments that I could go attend to, I would love to go and talk to the community, you know, people in the community and see how they feel about MK1 or just about games in general. You know? But this is coming from a casual who is a huge fan of fighting games and just a fan of fighting games in general, who has a really good knowledge of these games, knows about tech to a certain degree. Granted, I never won a medal or nothing. I never won a prize, a top 8 or nothing. But this is just somebody who's seen how the game popped up back into my feed for negative reasons. And then as I go deeper and go to do some research before I can form an even more valid opinion or more informative opinion of how I feel about why MK1 is the way it is, it was shocking. I'm seeing guys like Super, Super One on, I think his name is Super One on YouTube saying stuff. Mike Hollow was complaining, has been just nonstop about it. Like I said, MK Tom Brady, Maximilian's been concerned about it. Even the twins, Ketchup and Mustard, been concerned about it. People, some mutuals that, shout out to Larry, like Larry follows like Baylina. Baylena's complained about it, talking about she gonna pick up second 8. There's been a bunch of people, man. Like a bunch of people with, and I'm not doing this because they're clout or followers, but because granted, the NRS community could be very weird. Like they're very weird around women. I've seen her and Lena and Losty Girl playing in seeing their tweets pop up in the For You page for the pod or For You page for my personal page. Seeing people like talk all crazy to them over voice. Popping off weird to women, which is crazy. But it's just to say, man, that the community is just not happy about this game. I don't know what NRS could do about this. It seems like they just, like Stephanie, Tyler, and what's my man's name, Derek. It kind of feels like they're kind of handcuffed and can't really do anything about it. I don't know what Ed Boon's doing about it. I don't know if this game really was Injustice 3 because they took too long for the game, it turned into what it was, where they had to rush MK1. And honestly, I don't want to say this because the pandemic did affect a lot of people, respectfully. Like this is not to diminish the effect the pandemic had on the world, for collective regions, people individually like myself, around us, everything. Like this is not to diminish what the pandemic does, but I do not want to hear the pandemic is the reason why this game was what it was. Like you waited 2-3 years after the game comped out. If you couldn't do MK1, you could have just done Injustice 3 and that's it. But I think Warner Brothers may have given some fits about it. And to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me because the way Warner Brothers is running business is very just sus. Like I don't even know what to say. Like it's just sus. That's just the best way to describe it. Like it's just sus. Like the way they were running things is just very suspicious, very strange, and it's mind-boggling the lack of communication that we've gotten from NRS since everything. But I think Warner NRS is gonna get blamed for this, and rightfully so. But I don't think NRS should get all the blame for this. I think this is a Warner Brothers thing. If you look at the total landscape of Warner, if you look at their films, if you look at how they've been doing DC shit, how they've been doing streaming on Max, like if you look at everything top to bottom, it's a mess. It's a fucking mess, man. So I truly think that Warner played a part in this. It was a trickle down effect. NRS had to rush it, and I think that's why we're at where we're at with MK1. And I don't know what they're doing with DLC. I know Chameleon came out, Quan Chi came out. I have not played the game yet. I've seen people who tried to make the switch. Oh man, Chameleon's really good, but sooner or later in a week or two we'll get a patch where they'll nerf Chameleon. So, I'm not sure, man. They need to fix a lot of things. If you ask me, I think that they rushed this game, and we're gonna get an MK1 aftermath, which might fix things that happened in MK1. We don't know, but they're banking on MK1. Warner Brothers is trying to squeeze any little money it can out of any consumer, including myself, with getting the premium edition and then doing these random costumes for $10 that are like poor renditions For example, like Deception, they did the Sub-Zero Deception costume and then didn't even do it accurately. So I think Warner Brothers is trying to squeeze as much money as it can out of it, and then they'll make an MK1 Aftermath where they actually might, NRS might be able to try to actually fix some shit, and then maybe people will forget. But it's crazy how quick people turned on MK1. And we're only 4 months in. The game can actually, today's 4 months to the day it came out. If you're watching this game came out on September 19th. 4 months later. Like, the $10 fatalities, the $12 costumes, the $10 this, the $10 that, like, that's crazy. Like, that is crazy what they're charging for these games. For like, this DLC and all this extra shit. For stuff that was in the Season 1 that they try to put on Season 3 and charge it for 15, like, they are... It's crazy. It's absolutely mind-boggling how how Warner Brothers caused this to happen. It's mind-boggling because it's like MK1 makes a lot of money and you can make a lot more money and make people happy, but they just care about the bread. And that's what Warner Brothers has been doing. That's why they've been making suspect decisions, and from gaming to MK1 or Suicide Squad. So like I said, with films and Max. Bro, there are shows on Max that barely last. That got, a whole bunch of shows got canceled on Max that barely made it through 2 seasons. You know, so I hate these damn ads. So I think I'm curious to know how NRS how they can figure this shit out. I don't know, honestly. I'm very curious, but I mean, I can't answer that question, but it's gonna be interesting to see if MK1 could really turn it around and figure it out. Cause Tekken 8 about to come out. Tekken 8's about to, we've been waiting 6-7 years for Tekken 8. So. And with MK, Street Fighter 6, you got Ed dropping in a bit, DLC wise. They got a couple things. And then when Akuma comes out, because Akuma I think is the spring or the summer, he's the last DLC for season 1. So when Akuma comes out, Street Fighter 6 is gonna get sales again. And Street Fighter 6 just sold 3 million. Like Street Fighter 6 is already, I think, the third or fourth highest selling Street Fighter of all time. Because Street Fighter 5 is 1. Street Fighter 2 for Super Nintendo. Street Fighter 1 sold 7.2 million when I was looking at it. Street Fighter 2 for Super Nintendo sold 6.5 million. Then Street Fighter 2 Turbo for Super Nintendo, which is Hyper Fighting in the arcade, sold 4.1 million. Then you got Vanilla Street Fighter 4, which sold 3.4. And Street Fighter 6 in 6 months is at 3 million, and it's about to pass that. It'll probably pass Street Fighter 6 by, I'll probably say by maybe March, probably by the spring. It'll get more numbers, but yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy. So, but I mean, listen, man. Warner Brothers is in a tough, NRS is in a tough position. Cause I feel like they're in between Warner Brothers making stupid decisions and being terrible, just being terrible management, and then having to deal with the community, people like us, especially the people, the guys who go to tournaments and create content and get paid by these guys who are not getting paid that much, complaining about it. So, I mean, hopefully they get it together with MK1, but we'll see what happens, man. Honestly, I feel like they just gonna sit on their ass, keep trying to pitch money out of us, and then when MK1 Aftermath comes out, or whatever MK1 is with the extra story, we'll see what happens. So it's just crazy how it dropped off, but hey, life goes on. So